What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, something is unfolding in the heart of America that could change everything we know about the future? What if the signs have been there all along, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to see them? Tonight, we're going to talk about something that most people don't want to hear, something that has been whispered in secret circles, something that has made even the most skeptical minds pause and wonder. This is about a prophecy, not just any prophecy. This is about the most feared prediction that Mhoni vidente has ever shared with the world, and it's happening right now in the United States. Before we go any further, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear isn't just another story. This isn't entertainment. This is a warning that has been building for years, piece by piece, vision by vision. Mhoni vidente, the woman who predicted events that shook nations, the woman who saw things before they happened, has looked into the future of America, and what she saw made her tremble. She saw shadows gathering over cities. She saw people unprepared for what's coming. She saw a moment in time when everything could shift in an instant. Are you ready? Because once you hear this, you won't be able to unhear it. Once you see the connections, you won't be able to unsee them. Let's begin. For decades, Mhoni vidente has been a voice that many have tried to silence. They called her crazy. They called her a fraud. But then her visions started coming true, one after another. Events that seemed impossible became reality. Natural disasters she warned about happened exactly where she said they would. Political upheavals she predicted unfolded on the world stage. Economic crashes she foresaw sent shockwaves through markets. And every single time, people remembered her words too late. But this prophecy is different. This one is bigger than anything she has ever revealed before. This one involves the most powerful nation on earth. This one involves you. It started with a vision she had 3 years ago. She was meditating in the early hours of the morning when suddenly she saw it. A great eagle, the symbol of America, flying high above the land. But something was wrong. The eagle's wings were broken. It was struggling to stay in the air. Below it, the ground was shaking. Cities were in chaos. People were running in every direction, not knowing where to go or what to do. And then she saw something that made her heart stop. A date, numbers burning in the sky like fire. A specific time when everything would begin to unravel. She didn't want to share this vision at first. She knew people would panic. She knew they would call her irresponsible. But then the signs started appearing. Small things at first. Strange weather patterns that scientists couldn't explain. Economic indicators that didn't make sense. Political tensions rising to levels not seen in generations. And she realized that staying silent would be the real crime. The world needed to know. America needed to wake up. So what exactly did she see? What is this prophecy that has people around the world holding their breath? Let me tell you, but you need to listen carefully. Every word matters. Every detail is important. Mhoni vidente saw a period of great transformation coming to the United States. But transformation doesn't always mean progress. Sometimes it means destruction before rebuilding. She saw 3 major events that would happen in sequence, like dominoes falling one after another. The first event would seem like an accident, something that could be explained away, but those who are paying attention would recognize it as the beginning. The second event would be undeniable. It would force even the skeptics to admit that something unusual is happening. And the third event would be the one that changes everything, the one that makes people realize that the world they knew is gone forever. The first sign, according to her vision, involves water. Not just any water, but water that refuses to behave the way it should. She saw great floods in places that aren't supposed to flood. She saw droughts in places that have always had plenty. She saw water becoming a weapon, a source of conflict, something that divides communities and even states. And she saw this happening soon, very soon, within months, not years. But here's what makes this truly terrifying. She didn't just see natural floods. She saw floods caused by human decisions. Dams failing because of neglect. Infrastructure crumbling because nobody wanted to invest in prevention. Water systems breaking down because the warnings were ignored. And in the chaos that follows, she saw something else. She saw people turning on each other, neighbors fighting over resources, communities breaking apart, trust dissolving like salt in water. Does this sound familiar to you? Have you noticed the news lately? The stories about aging infrastructure, the reports about water shortages in unexpected places, the increasing frequency of floods that experts call unprecedented. These aren't coincidences. These are the early tremors before the earthquake. The second sign in her prophecy is even more disturbing. She saw a great economic shakeup, not a simple recession or a market correction, something far more profound. She saw the dollar, the currency that has ruled the world for so long, beginning to lose its power. She saw other nations making moves, forming alliances, creating alternatives. She saw panic in financial districts. She saw people realizing that their savings, their investments, everything they worked for, might not be safe anymore. And here's the part that sent chills down her spine. She saw that this economic crisis wouldn't come from outside America. It would come from within, from decisions made by people in positions of power who thought they knew better, from systems that became too complex, too fragile, too dependent on things staying exactly the same. She saw the moment when confidence broke. And once confidence is gone in an economy, it's almost impossible to get it back. Think about what's happening right now in the financial world. The debates about debt, the concerns about inflation, the warnings from economists who are suddenly sounding alarms, the movements by other countries to reduce their dependence on the American dollar. Are these just normal economic cycles? Or are they the exact signs that Mhoni vidente warned us about? But the third sign is what truly makes this the most feared prophecy. This is what keeps her up at night. This is what she begs people to prepare for. She saw a moment of great division, a fracture that goes so deep it threatens the very unity of the nation. She didn't see civil war in the traditional sense. She saw something more subtle but just as dangerous. She saw communities becoming isolated from each other. She saw information becoming so polluted that nobody knows what to believe anymore. She saw people living in the same country but inhabiting completely different realities. And in that division, she saw opportunity for those who wish America harm. She saw outside forces exploiting the cracks. She saw internal conflicts being amplified by invisible hands. She saw a nation that has always been strong becoming vulnerable because it can't agree on basic truths anymore. Look around you right now. Look at your community. Look at your family. Can you honestly say we're more united than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Or do you feel it too? That growing sense that something fundamental has shifted, that the common ground we once stood on is eroding beneath our feet. This is what Mhoni vidente saw. This is what terrified her. Not because America would fall in some dramatic, obvious way, but because it would weaken itself from within, slowly, steadily, until one day people would wake up and realize they're living in a completely different country than the one they thought they knew. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds too dark, too pessimistic. Maybe you want to dismiss it as fear-mongering. But here's what you need to understand. Prophecy isn't about predicting doom just for the sake of it. Real prophecy is a warning. It's a chance to change course. It's information given so that people can prepare, can adapt, can make different choices. Mhoni vidente doesn't share these visions because she wants to scare people. She shares them because she believes in the power of awareness. She believes that if enough people know what's coming, they can do something about it. They can prepare their families. They can build stronger communities. They can demand better from their leaders. They can refuse to be divided. They can choose a different path. And this is where it gets interesting. Because embedded in her prophecy is also a message of hope. She saw that not everyone would be caught off guard. She saw pockets of preparedness, communities that stayed strong, families that had the foresight to get ready, people who listened to the warnings and took them seriously. These people, she said, would become the seeds of renewal. They would be the ones who help rebuild when the worst has passed. So what can you do? What does preparation look like in the face of such a prophecy? Let me tell you what Mhoni vidente herself has said about this. First, understand that physical preparation matters. Make sure you have supplies that can sustain your family through disruptions. Water, food that lasts, basic medical supplies. Not because you're going to hide in a bunker, but because when systems fail, even temporarily, those who are prepared can help others instead of joining the panic. Think of it as insurance. You hope you never need it, but you're grateful to have it if you do. Second, strengthen your connections. Get to know your neighbors. Build real relationships with people in your community. In times of crisis, the communities that survive are the ones where people actually know and care about each other. Technology has made us more connected than ever, but are those connections real? Can you count on the people around you? Can they count on you? Start building those bridges now, before they're needed. Third, Diversify your resources. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. This applies to everything. Your finances, your skills, your sources of information, your support networks. The more flexible and adaptable you are, the better you'll navigate whatever comes. Rigidity breaks under pressure. Flexibility bends and survives. Fourth, stay informed but don't become paralyzed. Yes, pay attention to what's happening. Yes, look for the signs, but don't let fear control your life. The point of knowing the future isn't to live in constant anxiety. It's to be prepared so you can live with confidence. Knowledge should empower you, not trap you. And fifth, this might be the most important one. Maintain your spiritual center, whatever that means to you. Prayer, meditation, connection to something larger than yourself. In times of great change and uncertainty, the people who maintain their inner peace are the ones who can think clearly and act wisely. They're the ones who don't get swept up in collective panic. They're the ones who become beacons for others. But let's go deeper into the specifics of what Mhoni Vidente saw, because the details matter, the timing matters, and there are things she revealed that are happening right now, at this very moment, that most people aren't noticing. She spoke about a shift in the natural order, animals behaving strangely, birds flying in unusual patterns, marine life washing up on shores in places where it shouldn't. These aren't random events. According to her, these are signs that the earth itself is responding to what's coming. Nature always knows before humans do. Animals sense disturbances in the electromagnetic fields. They feel changes in the planet's rhythms, and they react. Have you seen the reports? Whales beaching themselves in unprecedented numbers, birds abandoning their normal migration routes, fish populations moving to different waters. Scientists offer explanations, of course: climate change, ocean temperature variations, pollution, and maybe they're right. But what if there's more to it? What if these creatures are responding to something we can't yet measure or understand? Something that Mhoni Vidente saw in her visions. She also spoke about a specific time frame. She was careful not to give exact dates because, as she explained, the future isn't written in stone. It exists as possibilities, as probabilities. Free will still matters. Choices still count. But she did say that the window for these events opens soon, very soon, before the next presidential election cycle completes, before certain political transitions happen, before the current economic structures have time to fully adapt to new global realities. This means we're talking about months, not decades, maybe a year or two at most. The signs she described would begin appearing in rapid succession once the process starts. And once it starts, she said, it would be very difficult to stop. Like a boulder rolling down a mountain, you might slow it down, but stopping it completely requires force that might not be available. Now, let's talk about something that makes many people uncomfortable: the political dimension of this prophecy. Mhoni Vidente has always been careful about making specific political predictions because she knows how divisive they can be. But in this case, she felt she had no choice. What she saw was too important to keep hidden behind diplomatic silence. She saw that the divisions in American politics aren't just about different opinions or competing philosophies. She saw something darker. She saw that certain forces, both domestic and foreign, are actively working to widen these divisions, not because they have a better vision for America, but because a divided America serves their interests. A strong, unified America is a threat to certain global agendas, but a fractured, fighting with itself America is manageable, exploitable, weak. And she saw that many Americans are falling into this trap without realizing it. They think they're fighting for their values. They think they're standing up for what's right. And maybe they are, but they don't see how their fights are being manipulated, how their genuine concerns are being amplified and redirected in ways that serve someone else's agenda. She saw people being played like pieces on a chessboard, convinced they're making their own moves, when really they're following a script written by others. This isn't about left versus right. This isn't about Democrat versus Republican. This is about something much more fundamental. This is about whether Americans can recognize when they're being manipulated and choose to step out of that manipulation. Can they disagree with each other without dehumanizing each other? Can they debate without destroying? Can they compete politically without viewing their fellow citizens as enemies? Mhoni Vidente saw that the answer to these questions will determine America's future more than any single policy or election. Because if Americans can't find a way to disagree productively, if they can't rebuild some sense of shared identity and common purpose, then all the other prophecies become inevitable. The water crisis gets worse because nobody can agree on solutions. The economic problems deepen because cooperation becomes impossible. The division grows into a chasm that might never be bridged. But she also saw possibility. She saw moments where people could choose differently, where communities could decide to prioritize connection over conflict, where leaders could emerge who speak to unity rather than division, where everyday citizens could refuse to be pawns in someone else's game. These moments exist. These choices are real, but they require awareness. They require people who are willing to look beyond the surface and ask harder questions. Let me share something specific that Mhoni Vidente said about this. She was asked in an interview what the average person could do in the face of such large-scale prophecies. How can one person matter when we're talking about forces this big? And her answer was profound. She said that every major change in history started with individuals making different choices. The fall of empires, the rise of movements, the transformation of societies, all of it began with people who decided to act differently than expected. She said that if you want to change the trajectory of these prophecies, start with yourself. Become someone who can be trusted. Become someone who keeps their word. Become someone who helps rather than exploits. Become someone who seeks truth rather than confirmation of what they already believe. If enough people do this, the collective consciousness shifts. And when consciousness shifts, reality follows. This might sound mystical or impractical to some people, but think about it. Haven't you noticed how quickly things can change when enough people shift their thinking? How social movements that seemed impossible suddenly become inevitable? How ideas that were once fringe become mainstream? Consciousness isn't some abstract concept. It's the sum total of what people believe, what they value, what they're willing to accept or reject. And it's more powerful than most people realize. Mhoni Vidente saw that the prophecy could still be altered, not avoided completely, because some changes are already in motion, but softened, made less severe, turned from catastrophe into opportunity. But it requires people waking up. It requires them seeing clearly. It requires them choosing wisely. And time is running out for those choices to matter. There's another element to this prophecy that we need to discuss. Mhoni Vidente spoke about technology and its role in what's coming. She saw that the very tools that were supposed to connect people and make life easier would become instruments of division and control. She saw algorithms that trap people in bubbles of their own beliefs. She saw artificial intelligence being used to manipulate public opinion. She saw a future where people can't trust their own eyes and ears because technology has made it impossible to distinguish real from fake. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now. Deepfakes that look completely real. AI-generated content that mimics human communication perfectly. Bots that pretend to be real people influencing conversations online. Social media platforms that show you only what will keep you engaged, not what might challenge or inform you. We're already living in the early stages of what she saw, and she warned that this technological manipulation would accelerate. It would get harder and harder to know what's true, not because information isn't available, but because there's so much false information mixed in that finding truth becomes exhausting. People give up. They retreat into whatever narrative feels most comfortable. They stop questioning. They stop seeking. They accept whatever confirms what they want to believe. This is dangerous in ways that most people don't fully appreciate yet, because when a society can't agree on basic facts, when reality itself becomes a matter of opinion, then solving problems becomes impossible. How do you address climate change if people can't agree it exists? How do you fix economic inequality if people can't agree on the actual numbers? How do you bridge political divides if people live in completely different information universes? Mhoni Vidente saw this confusion as one of the key factors that makes America vulnerable in the coming years. Not military weakness, not economic collapse alone, but epistemological chaos, the inability to know what's real anymore. And into that chaos, she saw malicious actors stepping in with false certainties, offering simple explanations for complex problems, promising easy solutions that only make things worse. So how do you navigate this? How do you find truth in an age of perfect lies? She offered some guidance on this too. First, trust your instincts more than you trust technology. If something feels off, it probably is. Our intuition is more sophisticated than we give it credit for. Second, seek multiple sources. Don't get all your information from one place, no matter how reliable you think it is. Third, be willing to be wrong. The people most easily manipulated are those who are absolutely certain they can't be fooled. And fourth, value real-world experiences over virtual ones. Get out. Talk to actual people. See things with your own eyes. Reality still exists outside of screens. Now we're approaching the heart of this prophecy. The core message that Mhoni Vidente wants everyone to understand. Are you still with me? Because this is where it gets intense. She saw that America stands at a crossroads. One path leads to renewal and transformation in a positive sense, a shedding of old systems that no longer serve, replaced by new approaches that address current realities, a painful but ultimately healthy evolution. The other path leads to decline and fragmentation, a slow unraveling that accelerates into something far worse, a breakdown that leaves scars lasting generations. Which path America takes isn't predetermined. It depends on choices being made right now, by leaders, by citizens, by you. Every decision matters. Every action creates ripples. We're in the window where individual choices can still aggregate into collective change, but that window is closing. She saw a specific moment coming, a kind of test, where America will have to choose. It will come disguised as a crisis, maybe economic, maybe political, maybe natural disaster, maybe all three at once. But within that crisis will be an opportunity to come together or fall apart, to prioritize collective survival or individual advantage, to remember shared values or retreat into tribal identities. How America responds to that moment will determine everything that comes after. And Mhoni Vidente saw both possibilities. She saw the version where Americans rise to the occasion, where crisis brings out the best in people rather than the worst, where the systems that break are rebuilt better and stronger, where division gives way to renewed sense of purpose. This future exists. It's possible, but it requires conscious choice and sustained effort. She also saw the other version, the one where the crisis deepens the fractures, where people hoard rather than share, where blame spreads faster than help, where the social fabric tears beyond easy repair. This future is equally possible. And frankly, it's the easier path, because it requires no change, no growth, no uncomfortable self-acceptance, just more of what's already happening, accelerated. Which brings us to the question that really matters. What are you going to do with this information? Are you going to dismiss it as the ramblings of a psychic and go back to your regular life? That's a choice. Or are you going to take it seriously, not with panic or fear, but with sober assessment and practical preparation? That's also a choice. Mhoni Vidente knows that many people won't listen. She's made peace with that, but she also knows that some will. And she believes those people will make all the difference, because they'll be the ones who are ready, who can help others, who can provide stability when everything else is shaking, who can remember hope when fear is overwhelming. These people, she said, are the reason she continues to share her visions. Despite the ridicule and criticism, let me tell you about something else she saw. Something that might give you goosebumps. She saw people watching videos exactly like this one. She saw messages being shared, warnings being passed along. She saw a network of awareness spreading across the country and the world. And she saw that this network would matter, that when the moment comes, these connected, prepared, aware individuals would form the backbone of resilience that helps communities survive and eventually thrive. You're part of that network now. Just by listening to this, by engaging with this information, you've joined something larger than yourself. You have a choice about what you do with it, but you can't unknow it now. It's in your consciousness, and consciousness, once expanded, never returns to its original dimensions. The prophecy speaks of a specific sign that will mark the beginning of the more intense phase. Mhoni Vidente was very clear about this. She said that when you see a major disruption in communication technology, when the systems that everyone takes for granted suddenly fail in a widespread way, that's when the window fully opens. Not a brief outage, not a local problem, but something significant enough that it makes national news, something that reminds people how dependent they've become on systems they don't understand and can't control. This disruption, she said, won't be the worst thing that happens, but it will be the warning sign, the flare shot into the sky. After that, events will accelerate. The water problems will intensify, the economic tensions will spike, the political divisions will reach new levels of intensity, and people who aren't prepared will be overwhelmed. But here's what's crucial. Even after that sign appears, there's still time. Not a lot of time, but enough. Enough to gather your family and make plans. Enough to check on your neighbors and offer help. enough to make the choices that will determine how you experience what comes next. The prophecy isn't about predicting an exact date when everything ends. It's about recognizing a process and knowing where you are in that process so you can act appropriately. Think of it like a storm. The most skilled sailors don't wait until the waves are already crashing to prepare their ship. They read the sky, they feel the wind changing, they notice the temperature dropping, they see birds flying inland, they recognize the signs, and they act before the storm hits. That's what this prophecy is offering you, the chance to read the signs and prepare your ship. Mhoni Vidente was asked what gives her hope despite these dark visions. Her answer was beautiful and unexpected. She said she has hope because she sees the resilience in ordinary people. She sees parents who would do anything to protect their children. She sees neighbors who help each other without being asked. She sees communities that come together in crisis. She sees the fundamental goodness that exists in most people, just waiting for the right circumstances to emerge. The prophecy isn't ultimately about destruction. It's about transformation, and transformation requires breaking down what no longer works. It's painful, it's difficult, it's scary, but on the other side of it can be something better, something stronger, something more aligned with human values and needs. That's the real message hidden in the darkness. This is a birth, not a death, but births are messy and painful and dangerous. They require strength and courage and support. They require people who are willing to help each other through. So where does this leave us? What's the final word on this prophecy that has people around the world holding their breath? Let me tell you what Mhoni Vidente said when asked directly about the ultimate outcome. She said that America will not fall, not in any permanent sense. The nation has survived civil war, world wars, economic depressions, social upheavals before. It has a kind of resilience written into its DNA, but it will change. It must change. The America that emerges from this period will not be the same as the America that entered it. Some things will be lost, some things will be gained. The question is whether the change happens consciously and deliberately, or chaotically and destructively. She urged people to think in terms of generations, not just years. The decisions being made now will affect your grandchildren's lives. The seeds being planted now will grow into forests your great-grandchildren will walk through. This isn't just about surviving the next crisis. It's about what kind of future you're helping to create through your choices and actions today. And she made it clear that while the prophecy focuses on America, the implications are global. What happens in the United States reverberates around the world. The American economy touches every other economy. American culture influences every other culture. American political decisions affect global stability. So this isn't just an American story. This is a human story, playing out on an American stage. The most important thing you can do, according to Mhoni Vidente, is to become someone who adds to collective wisdom rather than collective fear. Share information, but don't spread panic. Prepare yourself and your family, but don't isolate or become selfish. Stay informed, but don't become obsessed. Take the prophecy seriously, but don't let it paralyze you. Live your life fully, but with awareness and intention. She believes that prophecy isn't about giving up free will. It's about using free will more wisely. It's about having information that allows you to make better choices. The future isn't fixed. It's a field of possibilities, constantly being shaped by countless decisions made by countless individuals. Your decisions matter. Your choices count. The prophecy is a map, not a prison. It shows possible destinations, but you still choose how you travel and where you end up. As we come to the end of this revelation, I want you to sit with what you've heard. Don't rush to judgment. Don't immediately accept or reject it. Just let it percolate in your mind. Notice if you start seeing the signs she described. Pay attention to your intuition about what feels true. Watch the news with new eyes. Listen to discussions with new ears. See if the patterns emerge that she predicted. And most importantly, start making choices based on the possibility that she's right. Not from fear, but from wisdom. Not from panic, but from preparedness. Not from selfishness, but from responsibility to yourself, your family, your community, and future generations. Become someone who is ready, someone who can help, someone who maintains clarity when others are confused, someone who offers hope when others are despairing. This is the most feared prophecy of Mhoni Vidente, not because it predicts doom, but because it reveals uncomfortable truths that many people would prefer to ignore. It's feared because it demands that we look at ourselves honestly. that we acknowledge our vulnerabilities, that we take responsibility for our collective future. It's easier to pretend everything will be fine. It's easier to assume someone else will fix the problems. It's easier to stay asleep. But the prophecy is a wake-up call, and those who wake up, who prepare, who choose wisely, who maintain their humanity and compassion even in difficult times, these are the people who will not only survive what's coming, but will thrive. They'll be the leaders who guide their communities, the helpers who lift others up, the voices of reason when chaos surrounds them, the seeds of the better future that grows from this challenging present. The United States stands at a threshold. Behind it is the familiar past, comfortable but unsustainable. Ahead is an uncertain future, challenging but potentially transformative. The prophecy of Mhoni vidente is a torch illuminating that threshold, showing the obstacles and opportunities that lie ahead. Whether Americans, whether we all, step through that threshold with wisdom and courage, or stumble through it blindly and unprepared, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the time for ignoring the signs has passed. The time for pretending everything is fine has ended. The time for hoping someone else will solve the problems is over. The prophecy has been spoken, the warning has been given, and now it's up to each person who hears it to decide what they will do with this knowledge. Will you be ready when the moment comes? Will you look back and know you did everything you could to prepare, to help, to make a difference? Or will you be caught off guard, wishing you had paid attention when there was still time? These are the questions the prophecy forces us to confront. These are the choices that will define not just your personal future, but the collective future of us all. The most feared prophecy is here. It's unfolding now, and your role in what happens next begins with the very next decision you make.